Despite the lively hot days of that summer, everyone looked worried, and I was worried too. Over the next week, at least 3 different people asked if I was doing okay. At that time, I was swimming laps at the pool on Saturday mornings. I was checking email that night, and after dinner, I noticed a new junk mail message. I clicked it open. It was an advertisement for swimsuits. The girl in the picture looked like me and had exactly the same swimsuit, same style and colour. I was on stage. It was Friday night, late in the summer, and I put the key in the door, and the phone started ringing. I ran down the hall to pick it up. Hello? There was no answer, and I hung up quickly. Suddenly I was acutely aware of the camera perched high looking down the hall at me. A few hours later the phone rang again. I answered carefully. It was a friend this time, and she asked if I wanted to go out. Upstairs, standing in front of the clothes rack, I was trying to decide what to wear. An ad came on the radio. "I love your tight suede pants, baby, wear them for me." Okay, I thought, I will. I went into the city to a local festival. Wading past anonymous faces renewed my strength and sense of place in the scheme of things, each new scene like a different channel on television. I eventually found a spot on the high side of the city square facing the stage. After a moment I looked over and across the swirling colours and saw a man standing there staring back at me. It looked like the man from the library, I was sure. I turned back to look at the stage. Should I do something? I looked back again. He was still standing with his face fixed on me, while bodies swayed and moved around him. I looked back to the stage again, heart pounding. When I turned the 3rd time, he was gone. Walking along the path that night, going home, I bumped into an old friend and we stood in the moving crowd chatting. As I listened, I noticed a man in the background standing a little way up the path and staring at me. I couldn't see him clearly and was trying to stay focused and listen to the conversation. Then he suddenly turned and walked away. Travelling back to the house by bus that night, I was trying to admit to myself just how much I'd been walking through those days, looking for someone looking at me. It wasn't so much in the corner of my mind as covering the whole of it like clear plastic wrap. Then the bus stopped at the traffic lights. I looked up at a huge billboard opposite. It was an ad for a phone service, a cartoon of a hand holding a pale blue phone that had turned into a snake. I was locked on it. The phone looked just like mine, and in the background a red book on a yellow tablecloth with a vase and roses. Like my red address book on the yellow table at home and the poster of roses on my wall. The lens suddenly zoomed in. I'd eaten the Eat Me pill and had grown to an enormous Alice in Wonderland, bursting to get off the bus. To get out of the house I often went for long bike rides, stumbling across abandoned parks, stopping in a sudden afternoon pour of rain to smoke under a tree. I checked for some evidence that I was being followed. I took sudden turns and doubled back. I was gliding behind a car driving very slowly one afternoon when the number plates registered ICU, as if speaking to me. It was terrible to believe it and terrible to notice that I believed it. The university year began quietly for me, and I managed to avoid the thick air of excitement emanating from the students. At home I put a CD in the player and took a bath. I leant back into the tune, letting it wash over me when it started to skip. It was skipping over the words watching you and see you. It skipped a few more times over similar words. Neither the CD nor my player had skipped like this before. I stood up suddenly and stepped out of the bath and dressed. After dressing, I collected the bike quickly, letting the wheels pound down the stairs. I walked it out of the house and slammed the door. I rode to my favourite cafe near the house. I took the same seat as usual beside the window. A neatly folded newspaper lay on the table, and on it was a cartoon of a moon smiling. I'd seen the moon before, on the side of a van for advertising as I stood at the lights, on a flyer for junk mail slipped under the front door. I'd been sitting at the cafe for some time when the background music cut out halfway through. A drum intro began, a few decibels louder, and a smooth voice kicked in. "I've been watching you, baby," it started, "and I see you looking for someone for some consolation." I couldn't help but listen. "I'm here trying to break into your world," it went on. I looked around the cafe to see 3 others. One man had his back to me, and I remembered that I'd seen him before at the cafe. Along the side of his arm was a tattoo. Just then the music blared. "Let's meet, same time, same place. I'll be seeing you again soon." The cafe was quiet for a few minutes before the radio kicked in. The tattoo man stood to leave, and as he walked out the door, the girl at the counter slipped out after him, and I just caught her saying, "Hey, you forgot your CD." On the way home the pedal jammed. The chain had slipped off the spokes. I stood beside the busy road thinking about what to do next. I chained the broken bike to the railing and walked back to the house, in the dark. After I unlocked my front door and flicked on the lights, "Surprise," I said quietly to the still house.